Welcome back into Krail's Corner, episode 11. Beating Wilcox 24-21, the Los Gatos Wildcats move on to Menlo-Atherton, league champs. Congrats, Coach. How does it feel?
Wow, it was an incredible game on Friday night on the road. One of those you coach a bunch of years and you have a few of these over the course of your career. And, we got out to a fast start, 14-0, and in the back of my mind, I know that Wilcox isn't going to lay down and quit. They're just way too good for that, and they proved me right on that, sadly. But the second half we kind of settled in. Defense played great all night. Holding that team to essentially 21 points was pretty darn good. And offense stalled a bit in the middle of the game, but then in the fourth quarter kind of got it going again and had two scoring drives and finished the game with 23 seconds to go and a boxer touchdown, which is kind of fitting, right? So, great.
Fantastic game. Super fun game to watch, as always. These close games are always just super exciting.
Right.
A lot of weird penalties in the game, and it was a fun game, penalty-wise at least. Everybody was fired up on both sides about calls left and right.
Yeah, you as a referee, you're not doing well when both sides are angry with you. So it was one of those, and just had some weird things with the chains and measurements and a couple of calls that, one official's right there to make a call and a guy 30 yards away makes the call or doesn't, and so it just felt like we were having to overcome that a little bit. But, you're always going to have those calls that go back and forth. So, in the end, I'm just proud of the guys. They just refused to quit and got a big turnover by the defense at late third quarter. And then, like I said, we're able to put a nice couple drives together in the fourth and beat our rival, which was great. It's a situation where, and we were texting with the coaches over the weekend with their coaches, just ton of respect and really too bad that one team has to go away heartbroken, and know that probably their championship, hopes are certainly diminished, if not completely dashed, so.
So kind of, let's take a look into the late part of the game first. Before we talk about notable players and stuff.
Right.
This is the first game we really had a 2-minute drill go very successfully. The other games, Liberty.
Liberty, we had a pretty good
really
one.
Good 2-minute drill.
Yeah.
Another away game, great 2-minute drill.
Right.
What goes into planning that, and how does that kind of come along? Because this is a great thing to see in a competitive game.
Right.
Late in the season, moving into playoffs, when you might need that 2-minute drill to save the season. Executed perfectly. What goes into that?
There's no secret. We practice that. We have a late practice every Wednesday night. We go from 5 to 7, 7:30, whatever it is, and a big part of finishing that night is working on a very simulated live 2-minute drill, if you will. And so the guys know the plays that we're going to run. They know maybe not the sequence of the plays that we're going to run, but they know what our go-tos are, and they know who our guys are that we want to get the ball to, right? And so, Liberty was early in the year. That was a little different. Our running game was really rolling in the last 2 minutes, and so we really relied on the run in that one to pull out a win. This game, we had to hit some passes and had a little wrinkle on 4th and 2 with AJ keeping the ball in what we call a naked bootleg. And, instead of throwing the ball, he tucked it and got us a first down, and the next play we scored. So, it is something that we work on, and there's seasons, Matt, where you never use it, and then there's seasons where it's 2 or 3 times during the year where it comes into play.
Sure.
And so fortunately, we've had 2 really good ones this year that turned into victories.
So I want to roll it right in perfectly. A notable player from this game, AJ Minyard. On the paper side of things, maybe not his best game. Completion percentage was a little lacking. If you watch that game, AJ played great. He really stood out as a real offensive force all game. He ran faster than I've ever seen him run. Looked great on the running lane, threw the ball well, hitting his receivers. Looking into playoffs, I'm assuming that's something you're happy to see and comfortable with.
Absolutely. With AJ and to a lesser extent the other guys, it's been about taking care of the ball.
Of course.
Right? And he did a really good job of that the other night. And, in fairness to him, the percentage was down because we took probably 7 or 8 long shots, throwing the ball deep in that game. And those are hard to complete. And we missed a couple of them, had a long one that unfortunately was dropped. But stats aside, he played well. Like you said, he tucked the ball a couple different times on run plays. And, a couple times he fooled our cameraman because we're not used to him doing that, And so he picked up, like I mentioned, a huge first down there in that last drive, and then had the wherewithal to kind of pop up after a pretty big hit. I mean, he got hit pretty hard there, popped right up, gave the ball to the official, and we were ready to roll the next play. So he played great. It was his best game as a varsity player for sure.
Only critique for the guy, he did forget he had to down the ball after one run in the red zone.
Right.
Out of pure excitement.
And
it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I had a chuckle to myself because the kid just made a great football play and gets up all hyped.
Right.
Didn't think about that. That was the only thing I could think of.
We talked a little bit about that.
That was funny.
No game is perfect, right? There was a
course.
couple things where he had guys that were kind of wide open and he tried to force the ball a little bit, but not in a way that it was in jeopardy of, a turnover, but it was more giving our guy a chance to make a play.
Exactly.
And, Jalen played great again, and Boxer was just running tough as he always does,
I want to talk about 2 underclassmen on defense.
Okay.
So let's get some some guys in here. Franklin White played fantastic.
Right.
I was hearing his name on the sideline. Coach Clark screaming it all over the place.
Right.
14 total tackles. Any game you have over 10 total tackles, I count that as a victory aside. Jake Gerber as well. Both these guys have been large contributing factors, and they're kind of ramping up. This was Franklin White's first game kind of in that spotlight. I think he had more than 3 tackles in the game, aside from Wilcox.
It was,
so what's up with that?
It was kind of an awakening for Franklin this week. When you play Wilcox, you need some stout bodies in the middle. And I actually had a one-on-one with him on Thursday in my office saying, hey, you're trying to do too much. Against Wilcox, there's certain little things that we need you to do. And if you do those things, you're going to be a hero in the game.
Yeah.
If you choose not to, we're going to lose. I mean, that's kind of the fine line that you walk with Wilcox, right? If you start improvising and doing other people's job, you're going to lose the game. They're going to just have big runs on you, and our defense, their running backs were hammered all night long. I mean, they did not break a long run really. Quarterback had a couple on some sprint out action, and their tight end on their reverse, a couple plays there, but their go-to plays, we shut them down pretty well, and Franklin was a big part of it. And Jake Gerber has been just an unbelievable surprise.
He's someone we haven't given enough love to on the podcast
and
we haven't given enough love.
With Jake, we didn't really know what we had. To be honest, he was injured a bit of last year, and so we just didn't know, what do we have in Jake as a football player? And he was doing a lot of scout stuff early on, and that's where we try to tell guys, hey, that's where you can catch our eye. And certainly enough, that's what Jake did. And, he's very usable, I guess, on the offensive line as well. It's like he jumped in at guard one day and it's like, this guy can play.
Yeah.
Now his game time has been more on the defensive side, and he's done unbelievably well. Great.
Huge signs. I wanted to bring it up because I was going to mention these are huge signs of a great successful team going into playoffs. These younger guys kind of stepping up into these older roles and really making great plays. The progress is being shown. Taking a step aside really quick, let's look at injuries. So Boxer went down in the game. Was it his arm?
Kind of elbow hyperextension thing.
Just a bump and a bruise, or is it something
serious? I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little sore, early this week, but he'll be fine. He's tough.
Yeah, that was really the only big injury. There was an ACL down that I saw, or what looked like a knee thing.
Yeah, we Ethan Oppenheimer has a shoulder thing that we're going to have an MRI done probably Wednesday. So he's, if this is NFL stuff, he's probably questionable for Friday. Joseph Matthews actually rolled his ankle pretty early in the game. He's another one of our, really valuable defensive linemen. So between Ethan and Joseph, we took a couple hits on the D line there a little bit. So that makes Franklin and Jake and maybe some others even more valuable. Because Joe was a stout starter in there for us, and I don't know if we're going to have him or not. It's an ankle sprain. Ankles are funny. You never know how they're going to...
Throw a questionable on it again. Why not?
Right.
Sure. So looking forward into Menlo. Just let's clear the air here. This game does not affect league in any fashion. The league standings will not go up and down if we win or lose this game.
The only effect it has in league is if we should lose, which I hope we don't, we would have to share the championship with Wilcox, right? So
we got to give it back if we lose.
Technically, it's a co-championship. Now, they know who won the game. We know who won our head-to-head game, right? But technically, it's a co-championship.
I like the I like the trophy though for Los Gatos, right?
Absolutely. So there's that, and then in addition to the league stuff, there's playoff implications,
of course,
right? With seeding and we're keeping our fingers crossed maybe for a home game, which is always great in the playoffs. So our guys are focused. MA's a good team, and they've had a tough schedule. They lost some games early to pretty good teams, and they've played a lot better the last few weeks. So we know that, we're going to get their best. We went up there last year, again, week 11, last game of the year,
Sure.
and we got them pretty good. And so I think they remember that, and they're going to come down here expecting to spoil our senior night and all that. So.
I hate to say, I hear a little confidence coming out of you, Coach Krail. What are you feeling about this game? Are you feeling confident? Is it going to be
it's
a
one of those, it's high school football, right? So if our guys do their job, we have a great chance.
Of course.
I firmly believe that. We have talented kids all over the field, and they've played really well all year, wins and losses for that matter. And so if our guys just hunker down, do their job, I think we have a great chance of winning. We'll see, right? I mean, it's, again, any given Friday night, right?
Yeah.
So
playoffs are knocking on the door. Week after Menlo, or week after next, we're going to end up having a very different conversation sitting in the chair next week. We're going to have a great conversation.
Great.
Looking at Menlo. Check out episode 12. We'll talk about playoffs for the first time this season. See you then.